Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
After having to fight his way back to the front at Crandon, Wild Horse saw Barry control the race from the get-go. It's certainly looking like he has full intention to retain his crown this season. Tonight's event at Bark River should also give us a clue on whether he'll find more difficulty in achieving that as we get ready to watch round 4 of the 2023 General Tire National Series. And you'll see it all live here on Podium Esports. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is the voice of off-road, Dave Arnold. Behind the scenes is Cameron Aubernon on social media, with Ryan Bauer as our producer, using cameras by Dougie Beard, rather. Arnold, Dave, we've got ourselves a great race here. Honestly, one of my favorite tracks that iRacing has. Very fast, very unique compared to a lot of the other short course tracks, and should be quite the challenge.
Yeah, Bark River always brings some high speeds, and I'll tell you, some of those corners could really trick you up, but I just love it, you know, the high speed action, door-to-door banging. I mean, that's what Bark River is all about. It's true short course racing for sure.
Indeed, and of course, to give you an idea about this place, let's take a quick look at the Google Maps here, located on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Not a place you hear about as often, but has this significant short course track. It has quite a few turns, 12 of them. This is going to be one of the fewer lap length races that we're going to be seeing here, with just over 2 kilometers, about 2.5 kilometers for the length of the circuit, and a number of very fast jumps around this place. Now, of course, for the race itself, if you're not familiar with this series, we will have 4 laps for the heat races. Now, those are made to determine who automatically goes in the feature, and then the rest of them will go into a last chance qualifier. From there, the last chance qualifiers will see just 3 of the top drivers in each of them advance into the finale, and then we have our feature race for 12 laps, including a competition caution at the end of lap 5. So should be fun, should be plenty to keep us busy all throughout here. Now, as for the points, right now, Connor Barry does lead, with him taking essentially back-to-back wins. The first round was a little controversial, unfortunately, and Barry wound up with the points for the win, although he did not cross the start-finish line first in that feature race. It was a penalty that wound up promoting him. Jeffrey is behind in second, not too far back, with Plumley also trailing him by only 3 points. And then it's another 4 points down to Swain and 4 down to Liebert, where you finally have a little bit of a jump to Raffis. But otherwise, top 5, certainly keeping it tight up there. We could still see plenty change around here today. And the drivers are currently in their qualifying session. And as we quickly take a look at who is out there right now, I do see that Raffis is our fastest driver provisionally, but we still have a number of them ready to finish up their 4 laps that they are allowed in this quali session.
Yeah, one of the things you got to really do is lay that fast time down. But you know what? Sometimes you get that inversion, it will bite you. Sometimes being the top qualifier doesn't always pay off for you. So you got to kind of play that double-edged sword. You got to be in there. I always say, second, third is always a good position, or even fourth to qualify. And, of course, you always want to be the top qualifier, get in there and get that, guaranteed position. But getting in there and getting that points, and if you get an inversion when they get going on, that's usually, can cause some problems. We're not going to, right now, it's basically qualified to get in to the main events, and we're going to see that happening here with the main event later on. Then you worry about the inversion. But those top guys always have to keep an eye on them.
Cody Retzlaff not able to go any quicker on his latest lap. Connor Berry just took his 4th and moves up into 2nd. It's a 1/4 of a second between himself and Jacob.
And I'm looking at Raffis there. Is that pretty much a 1:14.2, and Perry a 1:14.2, Liebert a 1:14.3, and then you got a 0.4, a 0.5, and a 0.5. That is just incredibly close in this course.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be very tight out there, and drivers will have to fight for every position. As we watch Simon O currently sitting 11th, and his last lap not going to be any quicker. His first one, interestingly, was his quickest lap. We switch over to the 88 of Keith Jeffrey, who, as I mentioned, a little bit higher up there in the points than what he shows on the timing tower right now, only 22nd. And like we heard Dave mention, it's not as important that you qualify high up, but this is certainly going to make life rather difficult if he has to climb from that far back.
Oh yeah, it makes it difficult. And of course, you want to be during the heat races, you got to get up there. There's only a few positions that go, and you go to the LCQ. And we've seen and I believe in the first round, we had so many talented drivers that fought it out in the LCQ, where some top drivers didn't even make the main event.
Exactly. And well, he had to abandon that last lap apparently, so he's going to start no better than 22nd. Checking to see if anybody else has some laps left. Looks like Keaton Swain, who's already in 4th, has got one more. He just finished his 3rd lap. As we check in with Jared Liebert here in the number 10.
Watching the lines of Liebert, he's really using up a lot of the course, to try and get that fast line, hit the apex. It's kind of nice. You don't have to change up your lines as much when you're just qualifying. You can get the fastest way around the track. It's going to be another story where there's a lot of cars out there.
That was his 3rd lap there. You can see how much he has to really swing it into this fast left-hander that just keeps going and going and going. And then once again, it picks up the pace up over a couple whoops, a quick set of S's, and then one of the biggest jumps on the track here.
Yeah, they have a lot of high speed coming in through this section here, and they have to set up for this turn when they come around. You can see how he kind of like pushed it out there. Looks like he scrubbed a little bit off the inside, though. Unfortunate.
Yeah, so we'll see if he can go quicker than that 14.3. Right now, I am seeing him tracking at about even with that lap time. It's going to be tight as he just has a couple more corners to go down into 9, which is a slow right-hander, long hairpin. And then another slow corner off to the left immediately after it. Very tight, but has a lot of banking on the outside. As you can see him just try and bring it around. Has to stay off the walls, but it looks like he's not happy with it, and he is going to bring it in. I think that is it for our qualifying. I don't see any other cars that are able to complete laps. And we'll head off to the grid in a little bit, but we'll have a special feature just before we get to that. Just a few more seconds for that qualifying session to wrap up here. And then it's off to a first of our actual racing now that the qualifying has finished. So everybody's kind of set in their position. It's up to them to try and determine what their day is going to look like after this. And I do believe we have, for once again, the third time, a special presentation of the national anthem ready to play for you here in the Upper Peninsula.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rugged the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Beautiful rendition there, but you can see our drivers have already gridded up for the first heat of the night. We'll have 4 of them. Keaton Swain is going to be starting on the pole with Jacob Raffis in second place. It's Cody Retzlaff in the third spot, followed by Tom Grady, P4. Paul Mikolajic will begin in 5th with Sean Winkler flanking him. Tyson Miller starts 7th. Keith Jeffrey all the way down in 8th. And James Burke will start from 9th. We'll see if Jeffrey can maybe work his way forward, because obviously this will be to determine who starts from pole in that feature race. And as they get ready to take off behind the pace truck, the driver's very eager to get going before the pace truck even accelerates away, unfortunately. There we go. Now we're on our way. It's going to be a short pace lap, but we'll take off after it accelerates away. And the drivers will have a little bit of time without that pace truck, as well, as the pits are at a bit of an unusual place around this circuit. It sounds like we will actually have 3 heats this evening, as we did not have enough trucks for 4. So just a little bit of an update on that one. But yeah, they'll be under the control of Keaton for a bit here, Dave, and then it's up to him to determine when he wants to go.
Yeah, Keaton's so quick too. I mean, you put him out front, he could run away with the race there. But kind of curious on Jeffrey sitting second in points. It's going to be kind of curious to see how he's going to fight his way up there. This could be a game changer for a few drivers in the points category.
And this is now getting a little bit farther into the season, of course, so the drivers will definitely need to be on it. Now, we did have the second round canceled, so while this is round 4, this is only the third scored round that we've had, and we'll be making up that second race later on in the season. So that kind of extends it a little bit here and gives them a bit more time. But it looks like it's going to be an early go from Keaton, who does not wait, and he slips up to the lead very quickly ahead of Jacob. Behind him into third, Cody Retzlaff looking for position. He's being threatened by Tom Grady.
Yeah, Grady's trying to get on the outside of him there. Now he's going to jump try to get the inside. But I think Ratzliff's going to be established in that position. Swain's got a good line coming out of there, but Rufus, he's trying to keep a little daylight, trying to see around him there, see if there's a place to pass. But knowing the way Swain drives, he's really going to hug those corners.
The Swift 4 and 5 leaping through the air, staying right tucked up behind Keaton. Swain 4 now. We ride on board with Rafis behind him. Looks like there's a little bit of shoving between Retzlaff and Grady, but Retzlaff holds onto that P3. Look at him climb that inside berm. That opens it up, and now Tom Grady is absolutely going to try and get through.
Yeah, you saw Grady. He kept on coming out and just kind of peeking a little bit, and Ratzliff kept on going a little wide for a few of those turns, just like that again. He left that door down. It looks like Grady's now established in that position. But look at this, Rafis and Swain starting to break away.
Trying down to the inside off the banking. Cody can't get it back quite yet. And there was some bumping and banging behind them. Malogic and Winkler and Jeffrey trying to sort out the fifth position. Mikolajic, excuse me. And that's going to wind up with Retzlaff at the front of that group. Meanwhile, once again, they swing into turns 2 and 3, and Swain and Rafis are starting to pull away a little bit.
Yeah, you can see that right now that they've set the race pace, I'm going to call it, and everybody else got to kind of catch up to it. Grady and Ratzliff, battling out there. I think it's going to slow Grady down a little bit, trying to hold off Ratzliff after he made that pass. Kind of gets in your head a little bit, and you tend to go a little slower. But look at this, Ratzliff. He found a little daylight up the inside, and back into third he goes.
Fantastic battling there for the last step on the podium. And not just that, remember, it's only the top 3 that advance here. So that's actually an incredibly important position. And that's why we're seeing Cody and Tom try and swap that back and forth so hard. Meanwhile, the leaders, though there are points for finishing a little bit higher up here, don't seem as concerned despite the 13 really putting the pressure on. We're going to ride on board with Keith Jeffrey. He's only made up 1 position since the start. I'm a little bit surprised here.
Yeah, you can tell that frustration when he pulled off on that last lap. He says, man, I just couldn't get that one done. So I think that's going to be probably playing in his head a little bit now, because that's a lot of work to get up through, and it might be an LCQ story for him.
Yeah, if you missed us earlier, as we said, this is not the end of it if he doesn't advance to the feature with those top 3 in this race, but it's going to make life a little bit difficult, and he's continuing to poke and prod on Winkler without being able to make the pass quite yet. Back through 4 and 5 once more. Jacob, not as close as we've seen him, but he chokes it down into turn 6 and has a big look.
Yeah, definitely a big look. He almost got into the back and crawled on his porch. That was a close one for sure.
Rafis looking like a man possessed there from his webcam, but they are coming to the white flag pretty soon. It's going to be 1 to go. The finish line a little bit farther up the road, of course. It's going to be around the triple left-hander that happens just here. So outside of these 3 turns, when they go over the jump, that's where they'll get that checkered flag. We hop on board with Tom Grady, who wants that spot back from Cody.
Yeah, Grady looks really focused right there. You can see his attention is right up on top. He's looking at that car in front of him. And that's what he wants, Ratzliff. He needs that, but Ratzliff has pulled away a little bit. Loving those angles, and they're coming in there. They're actually pitching these machines sideways, set up for the next turn.
Shows you how much trust they have in how that car is going to land, knowing that if they just get it over right, it should hit how they planned it, but right now, it's not doing any good for that battle for third. Instead, we take a glance back at the lead. It almost looked like a little bit of a shove into the braking zone from Rafis. Maybe trying to give a little extra momentum to the 21. If he did, it did not work. Down around the long turn 7. He does get his nose down to the inside. We've seen that work for others, but not for the 13 this time.
Yeah, Rafis really trying to turn the pressure up on Swain. You can see him every corner. He's right there. It almost looks like they're adrift, the way they're set up there. And I don't think that Swain is going to give up that, the preferred line there at all. Rafis is going to have to either force the issue and hopefully makes a mistake. And a little bit of net coding going on there for Swain.
Keaton's having some connection issues, but he is going to take the win here in the first heat of the night. Rafis second. Cody Retzlaff will be the last to advance automatically to the feature. And it'll be Tom Grady Paul Mikulajic, Sean Winkler, Tyson Miller, James Burke, and Keith Jeffrey finishing last for some reason. He must have had an issue that will head off to the LCQs, which will bring us now to heat number 2. And this one, Parker Retzlaff is going to be starting on the pole. Connor Berry will be P2. Trenton Briley will start from 3rd. Christopher Plumley in 4th. And Colin Murphy in P5. Dennis Mickelson will start from 6th. After that, it is Cody Wieniecki, John Binder, and Felix Roy to round out your 9-car field here. They're going to stack up behind the pace truck. Should be a little bit quicker than what we saw before. In fact, yep, they're already taking off, and they'll head around on the pace lap. So, all right, we've got one in our pocket now, Dave. Anything strike you as unusual, or would that seem like pretty standard fare?
Well, I really think it was pretty much standard fare is what you would say. Everybody, they were clean, and that's the big thing about it. I really like how this season a lot of the drivers have matured. They realize that, you can't just force your way through. It's like real life. You don't want to wreck your cars out. Now with this, series becoming more prestigious, you got to be a professional driver, and that's what I'm seeing these drivers now step up to that level.
Absolutely, and I agree. It seems like this season has definitely seen a sense of maturity really rise to the top as they come over the hump past the pit entry. They've got to wait a few more corners here. It's going to be Parker this time who will have control on when they are able to go. And we'll see if he can get the jump over Connor Berry. Almost feel like that's going to be rather important because in the past couple races, Connor's made pretty quick work whenever he ever is not leading, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah, there's certain drivers you just don't want to let them get out front. And Connor's one of those. And look at this. It was a quick jump on it. Connor actually, I think, got him the hammer just a little bit quicker than Parker Retzlaff there.
Yeah, they're going to be side by side as they come down into turn 2. Somebody completely off into the grass. They're able to make it back on. Still with a little bit of a nose ahead for Parker Retzlaff on that inside line. A big incident in the back as someone's facing the wrong way. The Sundrop car, I think, of John Binder. And now they come into 4 and 5. This is hard to go wheel to wheel through it, slowing them both up. Now we're going to go 3 wide over the jump for the lead. That was Briley who decided to back out of it.
Yeah, Briley wanted to get up in the fight, but he realized it was going to cause some more problems. And look at this! Plumley making a move on the outside, going the long way around.
Took advantage of the situation beautifully, gets into the transfer spot. Trenton's not going to be happy about that. Already Christopher is sizing up Connor Berry as well, who still sits in 2nd. Parker Retzlaff retains the lead after having to really rebuff that number 2 machine. A little bit of a hit check down into turn 9. And it seems like Christopher Plumley is not willing to sit around. Goes for the over-under, coming into 10 and 11. He's almost got it, but out-accelerating him. Connor Berry narrowly escapes with 2nd place.
Yeah, I was really shocked to see how much speed that Plumley was able to carry through that turn there, especially with that odd angle he came in. You can see a lot of drivers having their problems coming off that hill going into the grass there. You got to wonder what the marshals are going to say about that.
Well, and we have to remember that this is a dynamic track, just like it is in real life.
Yep.
It's continuing to change. These guys did not get to race during that first heat, so it's probably a little more slippery than what they experienced in qualifying.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that one. I love how they take that into effect, because that's the way tracks are. I mean, they'll be a little slick when you're first going on the run there, and they eventually wear in. You get some blue grove areas, some stuff gets packed down. But, the first couple laps of every race are always a little slick.
Plumley with his VR headset as we watch on board, still sitting in 3rd place. Seems like things are settled in now. Connor and Parker are a little bit farther apart, and Plumley doesn't seem all that close enough to attack. If anything, wonder if he's going to have to play a little defense if Trenton Briley is able to catch up enough to try and take that P3 and be able to advance through. We're now coming to 2 laps to go as they cross, and this is with Colin Murphy, who unfortunately seems to have had, I think it was part of that trouble very early on, right on the first lap, and has fallen way down to 8th.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be an LCQ story. It looks as Binder out there with 1 lap down, and that was also an earlier issue, I believe, on the first lap.
Yeah, I think he got pushed out of bounds, unfortunately. When that happens in iRacing, sometimes it can send you towing into pit lane immediately. So he must have unfortunately left this world briefly and then had to restart as they come down into 6 once again. Still not really close between these top two. Does seem like Trenton Briley is edging closer forward to Plumley here.
Yeah, I do believe he's trying to reel him in a little bit, trying to set him up here, but, 2 laps to go, not a lot of time. These 4-lap heat races, they happen quick, even though it's a long track.
Very moody shot from Dennis Mickelson with his 3-screen rig setup. And he is, may have the lights down to help him see, but he is certainly on it. He's sitting in 5th, and that's not going to get him through, but he's going to be in a good position when we do head to that LCQ, as long as nothing happens to the leaders, who've just taken the white flag now. Whoa!
Oh, big send by Trenton. Wow.
I think that was Winyecki that we saw in the background that just about landed sideways. Thankfully, the truck righted itself. Whoa, and now Connor Berry is getting closer to Retzlaff. Connor maybe trying to take this lead away to get those points as they cross over the jump. He's going to have the inside, but he's going to be shallow into turn 6. The undercut from Parker Retzlaff. Can he manage to get this done? He's on the wrong side of the circuit, all the way around the long turn 7. No, I think Connor's got the lead.
Yeah, he does. Parker actually got on the binders just a little bit to slow him up as he got him behind him. Kind of trapped him there is what it looked like to me. Brilliant move.
That was somewhat unexpected for me. I did not think I thought he was going to be content with P2 and he'd try to race him down in the feature event, but as he brings it around, Connor Berry currently is going to take the win in heat number 2 tonight as he crosses the line here at Bark River. Retzlaff will finish P2 and Christopher Plumley will be the last to advance in the 3rd position. It was close between himself and Trenton. He got to within 0.3 of a second at the line. So your drivers who will not automatically advance are Trenton Briley, Dennis Mickelson, Cody Winyecki, Felix Roy, Colin Murphy, and Jacob Raffus. No, excuse me, that was Bender. Yes, John Bender. Unfortunately, the sim kind of regroups things on us if it switches over to the next session. But we've got the grid for the next one already good to go. Nicholas Dashley will start on the pole of heat number 3. Jarrett Liebert will be in 2nd, and Timothy Messimer will be P3. Bryce Simoneau will start from 4th as Mason Prater is 5th, and Zach Drapkin will start in 6th. And it's Bodie Cryer in 7th, Cameron Magashik in the 8th spot, and Justin Kay rounding out your 9. And what is our last heat tonight here, Dave? So last chance to try and get that free ticket in.
Well, that's one of the things, going back to that race with Connor and Parker Retzlaff, I think Connor realized that these drivers are so close in time right now, you got to take every advantage you can to get out in front of another driver. Just the fact that we saw 1/10 of a second, a lot of ties coming out in qualifying. We're seeing a fast, racy track right now.
Yeah, very, very fast out there as we wait for them to be released for this last little heat. Dashley on the pole. So far, we've seen one winner from pole and one winner from P2. Can we get a winner from P3 maybe? Is Messimer hoping that he can continue the trend, or is this going to go right back to the top spot and the 23 will run away with it? It definitely seems like track position is pretty key out there today. Not too surprising considering how few slower turns there are out there.
Yeah, and I'm really liking, with qualifying, if we went into a main event, you'd have to worry about inversions. Well, even though we go into it later on. But the fact that you have to race in with the heat racing, I think it makes it a little more challenging.
It does. Also means you really can't afford mistakes. You gotta keep it nice and tidy, that is for sure. Here we go. Is Dashley going to go early like we saw? It's a pretty good start. I think he's going to have a good enough jump over Liebert that he should be okay. And he immediately slots in front of him. The battle is for 3rd position with Messimer trying to fend off Bryce Simoneau as they take the jump leading down into turn 2. Looks like he's got that P2 down to the inside looking for the 1st place. Jarrett Liebert has a quick dip, but unfortunately not able to overtake the 23.
And look at this already. Deschanel and Liebert already set a little bit of a gap between back to Messemer and Semino. And Semino's got a lot with Mason Prater coming up on him. You also got Zach Dratkin, who's always quick too. Those two drivers. Mason, a former champion in this series.
Switching directions. Oh, we got a change for the lead. Liebert has managed to undercut Deschanel, and he is going to get up to the front. So it's going to be Jarrett Liebert now in the number 10, who is up in the top spot as they switch back into turn 9. He cuts down early to cover him off, is behind him. Semino still having to deal with Prater, who is trying to make his own little overtake on the green and black machine, but no dice.
Yeah, his focus is set right now on Messemer in front of him, but like you said, Prater can get into your head. Semino is really going to have to just concentrate on Messemer, not worry about Prater behind him, trying to pressure him there. That's one of the big things, these drivers, you got to focus on your, I'm going to say your prize, the car in front of you. Don't worry about the guy behind you. Just find your fast lines and try and get by the driver in front of you.
Hold your line. Let's see who can do that and keep them back as we're already on lap 2, swinging through 4 and 5 and up to the big jump off the lead. Liebert is pulling away just a little bit, but not by huge margins. It's about 0.4 of a second currently. Semino in that 4th spot is definitely focused forward. He has not flinched yet and allowed Prater to get by. Deschanel, though, is still trying to do the same thing back to Liebert that he had happen to him, and definitely gave a big attempt down into 7.
Yeah, I think that took him by surprise for sure. He's like, what just happened here? So now it's all about focus. You can see he's staying pretty calm. You know, he's very easy on the wheel, very smooth. He's just trying to look for that position to little daylight to get by him there. Liebert, I'll tell you, watching his lines there, they are spot on.
Yeah, it's been looking very clean from the number 10 up to now, halfway through the race at this point. Also interesting, I've noticed it seems like that turn 10 has been gradually getting lower lately. More and more trucks taking the bottom line through that banked left-hander. So wonder if it's just a little too slick up at the top now.
Yeah, I think you get a lot of marbles up top too, and I think that's what happens when you throw a lot of those down. You get little BBs, little marbles, you tend to slide out there, and that's why you see the rear ends come around on these trucks quite a bit.
It's a bit of a battle between Prater and Dratkin briefly before, but they have settled out. It's actually pretty frantic in the very back as Semino, Cryer, and Cryer just got shoved off by Kay, and he goes out into the weeds, so he's going to be able to get the truck going once again. But yeah, it's been frantic at the back of the pack for drivers trying to sort things out.
Well, you can see exactly where, the dark stuff you see, and you can actually see the marbles getting thrown off there. And you can see the lines that these guys are taking. When they get into them, they want to stay, put a fresh line through the dark dirt, but they're not getting as much traction through there.
Just tripping them up here and there as they come over the first jump of the lap once again. And it is white flag, 1 to go now. Liebert still leads Deschanel with Messemer back there in 3rd. In fact, it seems like the 101 is pretty safe as long as he can bring it home from here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's been so hitting his marks there. That's what he wants every time. He's been so consistent. Deschanel is probably kicking himself a little bit for that mistake, but the point is right now he's in a qualifying position. Same with Messemer. Prater and Dratkin, they're going to start driving a little desperate.
Yeah, they will want to try and automatically advance here. Again, they can still make it to the feature if they make it in the top 3 of the LCQ, but that is not a guarantee in itself, and it puts more pressure on performing later. Unless you want more racing out there, some might really savor that, but we'll see as they come around the last few turns. Jarrett Liebert, who started this race from 2nd place, is going to be the 2nd driver tonight to win from that P2 in the number 10 here at Bark River. Deschanel will take 2nd, and Messemer gets a relatively easy 3rd place here tonight. Looks like it's going to be Prater, Dratkin, Semino, Kay, Cryer, and Magashik who will have to go to the LCQ. And there you see the final heat and those results. However, We are going to head on over to a break. We'll come back with the first of our last chance qualifiers after this.
For whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Welcome back. We're here at Bark River International Raceway for the first of our two last chance qualifiers to make it into the feature. And there you can see Tom Grady will start on the pole with Mason Prater in second. Dennis Mickelson will start from third as Sean Winkler will be on the outside of that second row. Bryce Simoneau will be fifth, Felix Roy sixth, and James Berg seventh. The last two will be Bodie Cryer and John Binder. Now, we have an update because of the missing heats. It is going to be 4 of our drivers in each of these LCQs that will advance. So that's a little bit better. Still not something I'd really want to rely on because that's still less than half per LCQ here, Dave. So
Yeah.
if you're not in the top half of the fields, that's bad news.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult. You're going to see a little bit. We always see a little bit more desperate driving at an LCQ, a little bit more physical. It's just the nature of racing. It really is.
Yeah, and we saw that as well back at Wild Horse. It got very aggressive there as drivers tried desperately to get into position. So will it be a bit of the same at this track as we now take off on the pace lap? Same number of laps as what we had in the heats. It's only 4, and then we'll go to the feature for 12 laps. Have plenty out there. I'm Joe Peak, of course, here with the voice of off-road, Dave Arnold, to talk us through this fantastic virtual representation of a very unique style of racing. I do hope this does pick up a little bit of momentum, that this virtual representation of it, Dave, kind of makes some new fans, because it made a fan out of me, if I'm honest.
Oh, I just sit back and watch this, and I get lost in it sometimes because I've been to all these tracks. I've announced at all these tracks. I've done television for these tracks, and it blows me away how realistic it takes in every aspect that they put into this iRacing. It's just mind-blowing.
It is a ton of fun. I've been covering the sim side of things for a lot of years, and I think the short course trucks are one of my favorite things to cover. But for Tom Grady, his favorite thing is going to be the pole position. With the green flag out, he is out and ahead of Prater. Mickelson still in third as somebody's way off into the grass once again in the back. They're able to make it back onto the circuit. Things getting tight. Is Simoneau able to overtake Winkler for that transfer spot?
Yeah, that was that jump is always interesting when they come off. They come off of such an obscure angle. It's amazing that they land it half the time.
Oh, we got our first roll today. That's Felix
There we go.
Roy. He clipped the inside berm through 4, I think, and that sent him over.
Well, that's why I say you're going to take a little bit more chances on the LCQs because you know, like you said, only less than half the field are going to qualify. 4 positions.
Down through 7 now, still Grady, Prater, Mickelson, Semino, your top 4 that should be set to advance if it finishes as is. And they get pretty single file for now. Felix Roy, because of him landing upside down, had to take a tow to pit lane. So unless something really dramatic happens, we can count him as out of the feature tonight. As we follow along with Prater sitting in 2nd. He talked about being aggressive, but what happens if you're in this spot where you're in a transfer position and you don't necessarily need to overtake him?
Yeah, that's something you have to kind of think about. You know, hey, I'm in a qualifying position and going to the dance. It's not going to make, you're not going to be in the front of the field because you're in the LCQ. Sometimes you just got to sit back and just settle with what you got because you're in the show.
This is on board with Semino, the last one who will get through to the big show. And he's made himself a handicap over Winkler, who he overtook for that position. So that's sitting well for him now. Oh, and we do have a pass for the lead as Prater goes down the inside of turn 6. Grady tries to hold him off, and he's going to have the inside down into 7, but he's slow into the corner. I think Prater might have it as long as he gets the good exit.
Yeah, I think Prater's got this one on the exit for sure. But the nice thing about what Prater did, he didn't force the issue. He bided his time, he saw an opening, and he took it. He didn't have to have contact with the other driver. That's the way you want to do it.
Brilliant stuff there. So Mason now up on the top spot. What this will do is it'll give him a better starting position in the feature race. So it's worth it in that sense. And the two of them did not lose those 1st and 2nd positions to Mickelson behind them, at least for now. But they did lose a little bit of time. If they keep fighting, it might not be the best of things for them to try and attempt as they now come into turn 3 halfway through this race.
Well, yeah, I mean, between 1st and 2nd, it's only going to be an inside or outside position in the main event. It's not going to really move you forward. And if you're going from 4th or 3rd up to 1st or 2nd, then that's going to be a whole row. That's 2 less cars you have to deal with.
It looked like Semino was getting awful close to Mickelson for a brief moment as we watch from behind them on board Winkler there. And they slowed up down into 6 once again, getting the tires to bite into that dirt down on that slow right-hander. And then it's back through turn 7. Well, Semino went from attacker to defender because suddenly Winkler's on him.
Yeah, you're definitely down. He's in the last position. He's got the bullseye on his back. And you got to wonder if Winkler's, you know, going to maybe try and stick that nose up to the inside. He got on the binders there. I got to respect. He could have gone right in the back of Semino. It was kind of nice, you know, gentleman driving.
And we watch Bryce's camera. You can see how much work they have to do on the wheel for these things. A lot of sawing back and forth. And white flag is out last lap. If Winkler wants to get to the final event of the night, he's going to have to get aggressive.
Well, I mean, with white flag out, and this is the last chance to get in there, you might have to take that chance.
See if he does, as right now it's still Prater, Grady, Mickelson, Semino, your top 4 that are headed through. They managed to avoid that berm that turned Felix over this time. Nobody else finding themselves toppling, as we saw plenty of that back at Wild Horse, but very little of it here today. And so far, so good for Bryce. He hasn't had Winkler as close as he did about a lap ago. And that'll be at least the best news that he can hear for the time being. But he cannot relax, as he definitely needs it to stay put. We watch the leader, Prater, take it into 9.
Yeah, Prater's got that momentum just set right now. He's in autopilot. I think Grady now is just going to realize, hey, I just got to float this one until I get back. It's Semino, I think, is the one that had to worry about the most. But Winkler's far enough back, it's not going to matter.
LCQ win for Mason Prater. Tom Grady will finish 2nd. Mickelson comes across in 3rd. Semino does advance through. If you're a fan of Sean Winkler, James Burke, and excuse me, let me resort here. Bodie Cryer, John Binder, and Felix Roy. Unfortunately, they are done. So that takes us to the B main now. And Trenton Briley will start on the pole of this one. Paul Mikolajic will start from second. Zach Drapkin third, and Cody Wieniecki in fourth. Tyson Miller, P5 for him. Justin Kay in sixth, and then Colin Murphy on the inside of the next row, flanked by Keith Jeffrey. Cameron Magashik, the last of the drivers, starting from ninth in this field. Okay. After this, then there's nothing left for it but a warm-up and the big race. So if you find yourself outside of those top four, there's really literally nothing to do for you from here except sit back and enjoy the show.
Absolutely. You're going to have a good seat in the house, that's for sure.
Indeed. And the drivers probably maybe a little anxious here, knowing that there's nothing standing between them and the feature. They've got to perform, and they saw what happened in that last one. A few drivers really getting antsy, a little bit of pushing and shoving, though relatively clean, and in one case, one driver winding up on his lid. So you can't throw it away early. They'll go for a few more corners, as if you're just joining us for the first time, while the pace truck has peeled off. They have to wait until out of turn 11 before they can go.
Yeah, they get into the start zone, and, you know, most of the tracks we have are cones that you can start between here and there, which is, of course, the green flag. So it's anywhere in that zone, so they have to keep an eye on where they're going to start at.
And it's the leader that gets to determine when they go. So Trenton Briley waiting for it. He goes pretty early, and he's going to get a decent jump over Mikolajic, who is under threat from Drapkin. Down the inside of turn one, takes a little bit of a peek, and we have another truck over almost immediately. It was Justin Kay. As they come into 2 and 3, a little bit of a cutback on Mikolajic on by Drapkin, but he still sits in third. Top four breaking away a little bit. Wieniecki in the last transfer position. Tyson Miller, the first one outside, looking in. Down into the braking of turn 6 now. More side by side. Drapkin has not been given up on this second place. He and Mikolajic have been going side by side quite a bit. In fact, they're going to be 3 wide now. Wieniecki getting involved. Some beating and banging pushes both of the trucks on the outside wide, and Wieniecki goes from 4th to 2nd.
Wow, what a move.
Brilliant stuff there. And Drapkin now in a very bad spot as he's in 4th, and he's got Miller breathing down his neck, looking to try and take that away. We watch with Wieniecki and his webcam there in his room as they complete lap 1. Briley is basically taken off and said goodbye to the rest of the group.
Oh, yeah. He just said, see you guys. You can fight it out behind me.
Riding with Tyson Miller. See if he can do something on Drapkin, who's having a little bit of blinking issues there for a brief moment down through 4 and 5. Just clipping that inside grass. He's keeping him under threat. He could try and dive it in down into 6. He's thinking about it. He's going to give him a little bit of a hello to the rear, and it's not going to get him the spot, but that had to have shaken Drapkin awake.
Yeah, it did get him going a little bit there. You can see now Drapkin looking up the inside. Oh, contact.
They come together, they tangle just a little bit. That slows up Miller. Jeffrey is there to pick up the pieces, shoves him a little bit wide, and behind them, way off the course, Cameron Magashik having trouble trying to keep it on the brown stuff. Meanwhile, swinging it back the other way. It looks like that is a decent enough exit. Jeffrey now has 5th position. We commented on how he qualified and finished rather low in his heat. He's 1 position out of transferring.
Well, Jeffrey's trying to really make it up there on Drapkin there, but Drapkin, you know, still holding his lines there. That's what he wants to do.
Yeah, he got a little bit of a buffer because of all that battling, so that's given him just the breathing room that I think he needed to focus forward. But we're halfway through this race now, so can he keep Jeffrey behind him for the final 2 laps, or is Keith going to be too quick for him? As up at the front, Briley still leads with about a 1-second gap over Wieniecki. Mikolajic not too happy that he lost that second position, is trailing him rather closely as they go through the whoops into turn 7. And then, as we mentioned, Drapkin the last of them. We're going to ride with Paul.
Yeah, great shot there of Paul as he comes up and around that corner as he pops it up. Unfortunately, he's going to hold off that position there. I mean, he's in a qualifying position, so he's not in a bad spot.
Yeah, he seems like he's not too anxious about where he sits right now, although I don't think he liked losing that spot. White flag is out. One last lap to go in the LCQ. Will Drapkin and Jeffrey change positions? Looks like Magashik, I think, just moved himself up into 6th as well. So Tyson Miller must have had another problem out there and has been sinking downwards rather quickly in the latter half of this race. There's your leader in the number 17, just basically in control in this one.
Yeah, Trent Briley's just saying, hey, okay, guys, I got this one wrapped up. I mean, you got to be a little frustrated. You know, you raced so good in the early on, and now you're just walking away with it. So hopefully that's going to give him a confidence booster going into the main event.
Yeah, that's a good point. The psychological advantage that he could probably use after not making it through the first go. As we are coming up to the checkers pretty soon. It's up to 2 seconds now over Wieniecki. He really is running away with it. This is some monster pace. So watch out for the 903 when we get to that feature, because maybe there's more to that car than we thought, as we're going to ride with Jeffrey. Getting closer to the back of Drapkin, but I think it's too little too late. Briley at the front of them will take the win, as Wieniecki will advance from 2nd, Mikolajic from 3rd, and Drapkin is the last one through in 4th. Oh, something happened to Jeffrey right at the finish. Magashik finishes 5th, Miller 6th, Jeffrey 7th, Murphy 8th, and Kay in 9th. I didn't see what happened to him in the background, but he fell way down in a hurry. So there you see your finishing order. One more quick break, then we'll come back for the feature here at Bark River to see who takes the overall win this evening for the iRacing Short Course Series presented by General Tire.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers. whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Welcome back to Bark River International Raceway. As you can see, we are starting with the feature already. And on the pole, it's going to be Parker Retzlaff who gets regrid to the front. The top 5 are inverted. Jacob Raffus will start from second, and Jarrett Lieber will lead third. Connor Berry, P4 for him, is followed by Keaton Swain, the last of the inverts, in 5th position. Nicholas Dachelette starts P6. It's Cody Retzlaff in 7th, and Christopher Plumley on the outside of that row. Timothy Messimer will be on the inside of row 5, and Mason Prater rounds out your top 10. Trenton Briley then starts in 11th, Tom Grady in 12th, and Cody Wieniecki in the 13th position. Then it's Dennis Mickelson, P14, Paul Mikolajic, 15th, Bryce Simoneau, 16th. Zach Trapkin was the last one to make it through. And it's going to be 17 trucks out there to try and decide our overall winner here tonight. The most points on offer for the evening, so definitely worth trying to go for, but we only will get 5 laps of racing before we'll get a competition caution, so watch out for that. As there's the green flag immediately, and Parker Retzlaff is on the loud pedal. He is able to get in front of the 13 of Raffus very quickly, and the 10 of Lieber is going to try and challenge for that P2.
Yeah, he definitely got that one quickly. He was not going to waste any time whatsoever. He knows he's got to jump out front. He's got so many fast drivers behind him. We've seen it so close from qualifying to every race. Man, you got to get out and you have to establish it right away.
And to the shock of nobody, Connor Berry takes that third immediately. Ooh, big moment there for Liebert. In fact, he loses a couple positions and causes a checkup behind him. Look at the trucks just swing over this jump. Some of them going sideways over there. That was Mason Prater, who unfortunately blew his engine and somebody on their lid. That is Messimer.
Yeah, it looks like Messimer, unfortunately, they're going to be ending their days there. Becky's into the pit there, it looks like.
Man, that is an absolute shame on the very first lap of the feature. Now, they are going to have waiver rounds, and they do have a fast repair, so they should be able to get back around on the lead lap by the time we get that competition caution. But Connor Berry means he's now in second behind Parker Retzlaff, who has been leading from the get-go. Keaton Swain is in third, but just barely. It's Raffus behind him in the number 13.
Yeah, Swain, Berry, not surprised. Look at Ratzlaff, though. I mean, he is so quick there. I mean, it's amazing. Look at the gap he's already starting to establish in some of these guys.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Parker is just trying to hustle that car as quick as he can. He does not want to give Connor a chance here, even though it's going to be a few short laps of green flag racing. A little bit of an attempt down through 4 and 5 from the 13. Doesn't quite get him the spot, but he cuts back. He's got the inside down at his 6. Is Swain going to be able to swing it the outside way around and hold on? Just barely. It's going to give him the inside into 7.
Great move. Look at this. Got almost 3 wide going through there now. Swain's got a lot of company there. It's going to make it real interesting.
That's Liebert and the number 10. Who is down 2 positions from where he started. Remember, he had that little bit of a hiccup on the first lap. Still going side by side. Still 3 wide, almost 4 wide now, with Plumley getting involved. It looks like the 10 is going to be able to sneak on by, and the 13 gets demoted another position. A little bit of a tip against the wall as well from Raffus as he comes around turns 11 and 12. Got to watch out for that because you can certainly damage the truck if you smack it a little too hard. We're watching from Plumley while he's focused forward. He's also got a rear view mirror full of Dachelette in that 7th position. This larger field is certainly spread out. The 17 trucks are all scattered across this track, even though we're only on lap 3.
Yeah, definitely 3 of 12. This is a long course, and it's going to be a long 12 laps for these drivers.
Getting woed up into 6 once again. This is about the closest fighting that we've got here, going from that 3rd position down to 7th. Otherwise, the rest of the pack has broken apart relatively significantly. So these 5 making it a race for sure. Coming down once again into turn 9. They're kind of chasing Keaton Swain up at the front of it. We're going to ride with Mika Logic, who is currently down in 13th. Another little battle. It looks like another group that have managed to come together. That's going to be Briley, Drapkin, and Mickelson in front of him.
Great run there for sure.
And coming over 12 and the jump across the start-finish line once more, Mickelson currently keeping them at bay. Drapkin just trying to see if he can poke and prod and find anything. They're already on lap 4. Not going to be too many more laps before they get themselves into the competition caution, and everybody's going to get packed right back up, riding with Mickelson, looking off the back. And this should give you a good sense of just how much air these cars get.
Really, I mean, the amazing thing, to sim it just really gives you that perspective. I mean, flying these trucks big time.
Getting a lot of air over the jumps around here as they get back through turn 7 now. There's a little bit of a poke from Briley. Wants to try and get the position, but can't quite make it stick. I think we had a change of position. Yeah, we did for the 4th spot. Jacob Raffis overtook Liebert and is leaving behind very quickly and sets his sights on Keaton Swain. He's thinking about a podium here.
Yeah, Swain definitely wants to get on that podium for sure. He wants to be on that top of that spot there.
Let's take a look. I think this is the pass that we're going to see. Yeah, this is down out of 6, back into 7. Just managed to get him out a little bit wide, and yeah, we've seen that move before tonight. Once you get yourself underneath there, it's basically foot in the door and just kind of shove your way the rest of the way through.
Yeah, just give him a nice little shove on the outside.
All right, we are on lap 5 now, so at the end of this lap, they're going to throw the yellow, and the positions will be frozen when Yeki and Simino will be given their laps back, and we'll get back to racing. They're the only 2 that lost a lap. Messimer did have to come into pit lane as well. Not entirely sure. I think that was, oh yeah, I think he blew his engine actually is what caused that one. So, oh, and Zach Drapkin just experienced the same thing. He is smoking badly. So this is good timing on that because he can now pop in and take that free repair as well.
Yeah, definitely a great time for him to jump in there. Couldn't have timed it any better.
And looks like the caution is now thrown. So Retzlaff checks up and all the drivers will back up and collect. So we'll slow down for just a moment. There you can see them not jumping over the first turn, just kind of gently coming to a slow before they ease up to about 40 miles an hour or so. And the drivers might actually take a short halt on the track, depends on what race control decides here, and wave through Cody and Bryce. In fact, I think I just see Cody now. Yep, Cody is going on past, so they are going to halt them just through 2 and 3 on the outside off the racing line as the pair of cars catch back up. Drapkin just hopped into his spare car and he's able to catch up as well. So he's heading back out onto the track quite quickly. And we catch our breath now, Dave. This has been a wild one. And the drivers seem to really be on it quite quickly here. We saw some impressive moves there at the start. So if you're one of those that got overtaken, how do you bounce back from that?
Well, I mean, you just got to put your head down. I mean, if you're not in the top 6 right now at a halfway point, the way these drivers drive, you just got to get in there and just go for points at this point. Because these guys are so close on speed, they've all got the great lines. And that's the scary part about Bark River. Once you've established those lines there and you're out front, it's hard to pass. We didn't see many passing, but we did see some, so it is possible.
Well, we'll see who can make that overtake out there, make some sort of gap out of it. Sometimes you got to get those elbows out as the trucks now take off to finish the yellow lap, and everybody is back on the lead lap. And it sounds like they're going to restart them in the restart zone, which is between 11 and 12. So we have to wait for a good portion of this lap before they can get back going. Retzlaff last time had a pretty good start, but now it's going to be Connor Berry next to him, Dave. That's going to be a different proposition.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things. When you got Connor Berry, the points leader, it's going to get in your head a little bit.
There's a checkup up over the jump for some reason, and everybody had to come to a halt for a brief moment, but looks like they got away with it. And they're moving once again as they come around, interestingly, through the marbles. Is there a method to this, Dave? Is there a reason they're all kind of outside of the racing line there going through that?
Well, I think they're just taking the, kind of like swinging for a large line, basically. They're not, in the race line, so just go and take everything you can. But they're back on the gas now, so that's not going to be it's going to be a moot point at that point.
Apologies, thought it was turn 11, but it looks like it's outside of turn 7 where they get going once again, and they are on it in a hurry. But Connor Berry has now had that gap turned to nothing, so with this less of a work to do, can he manage to make an overtake as we ride on board with Connor? He's been having great success in the real world as well lately with trucks and buggies, and it looks like he's trying to just keep that up here on iRacing as well. But not only does he have a closer gap to Parker, but Keaton Swain looks like he's trying to make use of this yellow flag.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I talk about success. I mean, he came out of King of the Hammers with the top position in Pro Light, and his RS1, he was in the podium too. And then look at this, iRacing. I'm telling you, this iRacing has made a lot of our drivers in the real world a lot better. That's how realistic this is. So many things translate so well between the real truck and an iRacing vehicle. They have done an incredible job mimicking every nuance that these vehicles go through.
There's side-by-side action between Plumley and Liebert. Oh, no, they aren't going to settle it out. I thought they were, but it was a cutback. We've been riding on board with, I think it was Rafus a little bit earlier, as cutting back around once again. Liebert still hassling that purple number 36, but I think Plumley finally managed to push him back off of him, at least for a while. They were leaning on each other for almost half a lap there.
Yeah, well, that's what you got to do is, you're in the race now, 5 to go. You really got to sit and get those positions to, established.
Behind them, that was a big bobble there from Dashilet, who now finds himself with Cody Retzlaff trying to see if he can go by, but no dice. They're going to stay put. And Liebert, once he's been rebuffed, seems to have lost a car length or two on Christopher Plumley. But this is a big run out of turn 5 down into 6. Surely he's going to have another try at it. He wants to. He does get Plumley to go wide there, but he's on the wrong side of the track down into 7. Oh, and we got to go to the lead. Sorry.
Oh, goodness. I'm sorry. I didn't see that. Connor was looking on the inside there. He only left that door wide open. Connor tried to slide right in there, get a little slide job in there, but Ratzlaff was not going to let him do that one for sure.
Shuts the door, but how many times can you manage to do that on Connor Berry before he finally pushes his way through? Going to be 4 to go at the line. He takes a very shallow line in comparison. I don't think it quite works. He's going to hold back for now as behind him, Swain and Rafus are fighting for that last podium position, but it's going to stay in Swain's hands for now. These top 4 are starting to distance themselves from the rest of the field.
Yeah, that's what they've set their pace now. They're going to run with it.
Down into 4 and 5 as we hop on board with Dashilet in the 7th position. This is up towards the front of the second group, if you will. He's chasing on Liebert as he and Plumley have now got an extra friend involved in this little rivalry that has bubbled up, along with, I think you can count Cody Retzlaff in there as well. He's definitely kind of sized them up. We got a 4-truck battle down through turn 7. It's a little rise in the middle of it before it dips down once again and then comes up to the jump as they try and set one another up. Liebert under threat from Dashilet, who's going to try and get his nose underneath, and he does, but he isn't able to shove him out wide.
Yeah, that's what these guys are, kind of right now, just going to like look for daylight. They don't want to, these are their top positions, that we're seeing, and it's about points. I know it's round 4. We've only had 3 actual physical races, so it's all about the points, and these guys are also thinking about that.
Yeah, and Dashilet there got really loose coming through 11 and 12. That slowed him up, and Cody Retzlaff has been trying to take advantage of it. Just couldn't quite get through. As we come back to Connor Berry now, he's fallen off the back of Parker Retzlaff, and it seems like either he's setting himself up for later. Oh, he's way wide, very wide, but he kept it out of the wall. I thought for sure he was going to bang into the K-rail.
Yeah, he's using up as much track as he can right now. Trying to keep that speed up.
Back behind them, Raffis under threat from Swain once again. But these top four spread apart a little farther than what we saw before. Let's check back in once again with farther down the field. This is Dashilet still on the defense, but this time with Mason Prater behind him and Cody Retzlaff. Prater just about manages to get underneath, but tries for the undercut down through turn 10. No dice on that one as they bounce and bound over the bumps here through 11 and 12.
Yeah, I'm really surprised with Prater. I mean, at the beginning of this series, you really saw some of the drivers really separated from the rest of them. And I think we talked about it earlier where everybody stepped their game up. Not only have they, less contact, but they've all gotten faster. Practice, practice, practice. That's what's paying off for these guys.
It makes perfect, at least for these guys. It makes you fast as they swing down the hill once again, really leaning on the car down into turn 6. Berry has not been able to close it up. I don't think he's just backed off. I think Berry legitimately doesn't quite have the pace of the 31 here.
Well, also the way they set their trucks up. That's one of the things that we see. They set the truck over the first half, the second half, the middle part of the track. The track deteriorates, your tires, your fuel, how much fuel you took on. It all goes into the factor of how fast your vehicle is going to be at the end of the race.
Yeah, that's a good point. Difference of how the track races. Do you have it set up for the beginning, the middle, or the end, or can you manage all three? As we get the white flag, 1 to go, I asked whether or not this is going to be harder for Connor, and Parker Retzlaff is trying to say, yes, it will be.
Absolutely going to be tougher for him because Parker has definitely set the pace here.
He's distanced himself to a whole second ahead of Connor Berry. This has been impressive. Very few have been able to be as fast as Connor. And in the first race, Parker had a little bit of an advantage in the fact that Connor had to go through the LCQ to get into the feature. So that kind of helped him. But today, this has just been straight up. The 31 is outgunning him.
Yeah, I know for sure.
So out of 7 once again, just a couple more corners to go. It seems like the top 3 are looking pretty straightforward. Raffis has been able to keep Keaton Swain far enough back that he's no longer a problem for him. But given some screen time for this number 31, as he leads the way in this last lap of the evening, just needs to trickle it around 11 and 12, keep it off of the barrier, just glances it, and across the line, Parker Retzlaff will take the win.
And an impressive win that is with Connor Berry coming across in second. Still going to retain the points lead, though.
Yeah, I think the penalty in round 1 for Parker is definitely what hurt him.
Yeah.
If he could have kept that win, he probably would be in a very good position right now. He might be kicking himself later, but he's certainly making up for it. Raffis gets that 3rd spot. We're going to come back, though, after a short break. We'll have the unofficial results as well as driver interviews here for the iRacing Short Course Series sponsored by General Tire.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Welcome back to Bark River International Raceway here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Parker Retzlaff has taken the feature win over Connor Berry, who just didn't have the pace to manage to keep hold of him today. Jacob Raffis with an excellent third as well. Keaton Swain just off the podium in fourth, with Christopher Plumley taking a P5, gaining 3 positions during that race. Jared Liebert unfortunately slipped up early and then just never seemed to recover what he had in the heat races. He started from third, finished sixth. Dashilet was seventh, and Prater was P8. Then it was Cody Retzlaff ninth, and Trenton Briley in 10th. Mika Logic also climbed up pretty well. He went from 15th to 11th. Messimer was 12th, and Drapkin was 13th. Mickelson finished where he started in P14, Wieniecki 15th, Semino 16th, and Tom Grady finishing 17th here today. Looks like we've got our winner ready to talk to us, Parker Retzlaff, who controlled it pretty well, but was under threat for a little bit. Parker, it's never easy with the current champion breathing down your neck, but it not only did you survive the pressure, you did so with flying colors, it seemed like.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, I feel like, the last couple weeks, I just haven't had a clean race. I mean, it all started from week one. So it finally feels good to just finally have a clean race and not really have contact with anybody and be able to come out here and win against, the people like Connor and Jacob and, all my teammates and everyone else in the series.
Yeah, obviously, you're having to play catch up a little bit because of that, but it does seem, especially from this one with the pace that you showed over Connor, that to me, it feels like you could give him a run for his money on the championship. Do you feel that way?
I mean, I felt that way from the start. I mean, I'm like 35 points behind him right now. He hasn't really had very many problems. So I kind of got to hope that he has a couple bad weeks and I keep this momentum going. So it all really comes down to what he does, and I just got to keep trying to be there every week and keep having the fast Team Rogue trucks.
Now, not just the virtual world keeping you busy, but sounds like you're going to be having fun over at Auto Club this weekend. You looking forward to hopping in stock cars once again?
Yeah, I mean, we're just doing the whole Xfinity season, so it feels good. I got to leave tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. So just gonna do this, go to bed, and get ready to go there tomorrow morning.
Well, at least you can rest well with a smile on your face. Anybody you want to thank for the victory?
Yeah, I mean, I just got to thank Jarrett Liebert for all the setup work and everything he does. Vicente, Dennis, Nicholas, Cody, and everyone who puts this whole league on and Funkaway and everyone who supports me.
It was Parker Retzlaff, your winner here today. And up next, we've, of course, got Connor Berry with Dave, our second place finisher.
Connor Berry, the points leader coming into this one. I mean, watching you through the heat racing, I know it was a little bit, wild. You made that pass to get in the lead. But let's talk about this main event here. What was going on, Connor? Not used to seeing you gap back. Was it something maybe on the setup, or were you just saying, okay, I got a good points lead? What was going through your head?
Yeah, so it was for sure a pretty fun race. I knew our speed was going to be good, but I knew that Parker is definitely the best guy. Like he is the best guy here. So I knew that I knew that it was going to be hard. And I basically got whooped. So I tried to stay there, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to try some things, and I hope once we come back here for round 8, I think I can win it.
Was it one of those deals that the setup on the truck might have been not the correct setup? Is that what you're thinking towards the end of the race?
I'm gonna have to say no. I think it's just more of me, but I can always go back and look and just see. But I think I need to change how I approach it all, and I think that we will be good.
Well, definitely. And you've had so successful, in the real life. I know they mentioned that Parker Ratcliffe's going to Racing Infinity Series. I know you just came off King of the Hammers and a win in the Pro Light. You got a lot going on. How has this been helping you? I've really noticed your driving with the iRacing and the real life have really meshed well together.
Yeah, for sure. I think the sim is definitely a big help because it's always just time, just a lot of time behind the wheel, and that's always a good thing. It for sure helps me inside inside the real life. So I definitely think it's a good tool to help you learn and help you stay um smart and just like smooth out there.
Yeah, we've seen it with a lot of the drivers, so that's really great to see how this has progressed in the real world with a lot of the sim driving. But Parker did well in the first round. Unfortunately, you got the points lead. Now, any predictions going into the makeup round or round 5 after that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think that it'll be good. Round 5 is Crandon short, so our speed will be good, but I think there's definitely going to be a lot of guys who are good there just because it's such a weird track. It feels more like an oval type thing. So I think all of the guys who are big into the sprint cars are going to be good. But I think I can definitely win it, and yeah.
Good. Well, you got so many great people that stand behind you. I think it's a good time to give them a little love.
Sure, I want to give a big thanks to CBR, General Tire, AIM, Super Clean, Optima, Motul, and all of you guys for this stream, and I will be back.
Well, that's Connor Berry's second place. And Joe, I do believe you're standing ready with third place.
Yeah, Jacob Raffis had to fight hard for that third, though, especially in the first half. Seemed like a lot of beating and banging. Wasn't even over in the second half where you had to try and take it away from Keaton Swain. So would it be fair to say you earned this one?
Yeah, I think it was a good race with Keaton for sure, but maybe a little too aggressive. I don't know. Let's see what the steward says, but yeah, it was a good race, especially with Keaton. We were fighting a lot and banging each other.
Well, knowing that, do you feel like if it weren't for any of that, that you maybe could have kept up with Barry and fought for that second place or even the win, or is third kind of the best you feel was possible?
No, I think maybe I could have fought for a second, but Parker is just insane fast right here, right now at the moment. So we gotta get some pace up and going and keep working on the setups and do a lot of laps, and we'll maybe be up there soon.
Now, I understand you've joined a very elite group in iRacing. There's an extremely small handful of drivers who've ever reached 10,000 I rating in any license, and you've done that in dirt roads. I mean, how did you wind up getting there? That had to have been a lot of hard work.
Yeah, after 2,200 starts in dirt road, I finally reached 10K I rating, which is not like, I think it's maybe an oval and road which they've reached, maybe dirt oval too. But yeah, being the first person to reach 10K is just unbelievable. Like, much hard work into it.
You're setting an extremely high bar for a lot of people, Jacob. But congratulations once again on a podium here today, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you when we go back to Crandon.
Thanks, and I'd like to give a shout out to Sim Magic and Sim Racing OS and Apex Gaming PC and Next Level Racing and all the guys at Nitro Circus.
That was Jacob Raffis, who finished in third here today in the number 13 car, which is going to wrap us up again with a big thank you to General Tire for sponsoring the series. Make sure and join us on Thursday, March 2nd at 9 p.m. Eastern, where we'll be back for Crandon's short course this time. So we'll return there for that one. Should be pretty interesting, as that's a drastically different nature to that track compared to the long version there.
Yeah, I think Connor put it right. It's like being, in a oval track or a bull ring out there. And it's going to be a lot of tight racing and some fast racing too.
Absolutely. And when we see you there, we hope that you'll join us with all the action. But a big thank you, of course, goes to General Tire once again. And a huge thanks to our team tonight, Dave, Ryan, Cameron, and Dougie. Also, none of this is possible without those behind the scenes of Podium Esports, Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of General Tire National Series. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.